Welcome to week one of the course, and welcome to learning about mass communication theory. I'm going to start by going over a few basics for how to approach the readings for this course, because I know they're dense, and then we'll get into a sort of mini lecture for this week that I hope you'll watch before doing the reading. So how I'd suggest approaching the readings for this course is, first of all, don't worry about understanding every word. I understand it can be easy to get bogged down in worrying about completely thorough comprehension. That I hope we'll get into in a combination of readings plus discussion. So if you're getting frustrated by any section, just keep moving. Look for themes and main ideas rather than that hanging on every word. Consider what the entire piece is trying to say. Look for indicators of worldview, point of view, ideological and philosophical underpinnings. So again, with the themes and main ideas, try to see where the thinkers they're talking about and the theories are coming from. Those are the main points. If the word looks unfamiliar, please look it up. Use it as a learning opportunity. Don't be concerned by or annoyed by some of these, especially as we'll get into some original texts in coming weeks, by it being older works. That's part of the beauty of this, is that we're going back to sources and to see the context in which theories were created and received. Some of these thoughts and ideas take a little work. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. So embrace that. And in that embracing, consider what really speaks to you and what doesn't. Not every theory is going to hit home for you, and that's fine. It's going to be natural to gravitate to a few of them. But we have to still consider if something doesn't seem right to you in your worldview, why not? And finally, be open-minded, expansive, and accepting. Along that line of what not everything is going to resonate with you. At least try to see where other people might be coming from. So getting into mass communication theory, some of the main points that were covered in this week's reading by Baran and Davis's Mass Communication Theory, Foundations, Ferment, and Future are covered by a series of compelling questions they ask at the beginning concerning Facebook. How do you use Facebook? What impact does it have on your life? How do you view the company that provides you with Facebook? Not just Facebook itself, but the actual, say, internet or cable service that you pay to be able to access it. Do you trust that company, either that one or Facebook itself, will not misuse the information you share there? As you'll see this week and through the quarter, these are the sorts of compelling questions that mass communication theory seeks to answer. If you see value in asking them, then you should really enjoy this class. Mass communication theory is out to tell us something about ourselves and our world by asking questions like that, for information that can help us to accurately describe our world, and for all of that to feed into us being more cognizant, more informed, and ultimately better people engaging in that world. However, we're going to see that there are challenges. Studying mass communication and its relationship with society is complex, and here are a number of these challenges. Baran and Davis point out that it is difficult to apply the scientific method to human society, in large part because it's difficult to measure human behavior. Human behavior is complex and certainly difficult to predict, especially from one to another. Effects on human behavior and thoughts take place slowly. There are very few immediate changes. And along that line, causality is difficult to attribute clearly and definitively, to say A caused B. Human beings are complex, confusing, and for that reason, fascinating. You can think about even yourself as part of this. Each individual thinks, each individual feels, each individual is goal-oriented and self-reflexive. And so that as a whole makes for a really complicated and engaging focus of study. But the questions, even though they're complicated and often confusing and frustrating, they're worth asking despite the challenges that this kind of work presents. As Baran and Davis write on page 12, why do we need experts telling us about ourselves or explaining to us why we do things? We're not so easily influenced by the media, we say, but ironically, most of us are convinced that other people are much more likely to be influenced by media. So it's worth asking, both because despite our ego there, we might learn a little bit about ourselves, but also we're going to learn a lot more about the people and the society in which we live, and hopefully about the media we create. Theory helps us explore those questions, no matter how complicated. So what is theory? Baran and Davis get at this a number of ways. One of the quotes that they cite is that theory is not objective, hence being difficult to study with a scientific method. The quote from Miller reads, "Different schools of thought will define theory in different ways depending on the needs of the theorist and on beliefs about the social world and the nature of knowledge." Theory is contextual, situated in a historical moment, and imbued with meaning based on human need. Again, this is why we're going to go back to some of those older works and why it's of value, even if it doesn't seem as easy to read, but also worth applying those older thoughts to our current day. And because there's no one theory, we're going to look at different theories, but also need to examine these contextual factors to understand each theory's role. Just as there are many different theories, there are many different theory contexts in which they were written and received, and those change over time. And that changing nature is going to impact role, impact, import, strengths, and weaknesses. Baran and Davis describe four main categories of mass communication theory: post-positivist, cultural, critical, and normative. I suggest you carefully read Chapter 1 to get an overview of each of these, and we'll also examine them all throughout this quarter. We are going to largely focus on cultural and critical theories, however. The focus is going to rest here because of their relative import to the study of mass communication in the media, but also because their goal is to understand how humans behave in the social world, rather than to change or control human behavior as post-positivist and normative theories attempt to do. You can see here that we've blown out weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6 as when we really dig into critical and cultural theories. On pages 20 to 26, Baran and Davis provide a narrative of the evolution of mass communication theory over time. We'll spend the rest of the quarter exploring this evolution. For now, use this opportunity to get a sense of the trajectory of theory development and how it overlaps with different historical periods and different social, cultural, economic, and political factors. In the end, this class argues alongside Baran and Davis that we are responsible for making media work and for their influences on us. The media don't happen to us. Instead, we choose to engage with the media. And at the same time, media aren't monolithic. There are probably as many sources of news and mediated entertainment in the world as there are people in this country. They don't all do or say the same thing. It's up to us to select, engage with, and do what we want with the media. The important thing to remember is that we're responsible